there's like a list of like, well, no, I don't necessarily want to be associated with that because it doesn't fit with my values, doesn't fit with my connection. Or like when it comes to rescues or adoptions, like, yeah, for sure, make me Sarah McLachlan, but I will remember you. Yeah.
I can't hear that song without feeling like shit, though.
Oh, I cry every time
Man,
just
every
because I
time
see the little
I see
puppy
a fucking
eyes.
dog, the cat, something in a cage. I'm like, yo, I'm
Yeah.
gonna buzz. Stop playing. But now it triggers.
Yeah.
I hear the fucking song
Yeah.
anywhere. I'm in the
How
radio. I start
amazing.
with the poor fucking dog. I'm not even watching the commercial.
No.
Pretend like I know what I'm doing.
It looks like you do, though.
That's all that
the
matters.
good part of it. Yeah.
There we go.
I'm obsessed. I love this space.
Are
So when
we
you
gonna
guys
actually
move,
talk or?
Yeah, probably. Sorry. It's gonna be like,
You're like, this is so beautiful. Love it.
it's so nice.
That's it. We officially started.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh no, no, I'm
I'll
nervous.
shut up about how gorgeous this place is.
Well, Cinzia,
Okay.
like I am super, super, super happy that you're here.
Me too.
It's been so long since we've seen each other. I think the last time was during the pandemic, at like early pandemic days.
Early pandemic at, what was the Bishop and Bags?
Bishop and Bag, that's it.
Bishop and Bags.
And then we had a surprise a guest appearance by Luca.
We had a guest appearance, but who was on the show, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was episode 3.
Okay.
Something. He's definitely early on, 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing the video and I was like, bitch,
That motherfucker.
come back on.
Holy, how could he pretend to be before me?
Like, are you serious?
I can't believe he just did this to me.
It's so funny how often our lines have crossed before we even like knew each other, because you and Luca knew each other before me and Luca.
Yeah.
Like you were his
I saw him
guitar
like
teacher.
I was like that uncle, that weird uncle that's teaching you guitar, you know? And I'm smoking with these kids in the house. I'm like, it makes no sense. They would call like child services on me now if I was a guitar teacher.
That's amazing. Or they'd be like, oh, it's cool, it's legal now.
Oh yeah, it's like
It's legal, it's fine.
I remember poor Luca, I'd be in the room
Yeah.
and I'd be smoking a cigarette from the window and then he gets into a car with his parents and he's like, why do you smell like smoke?
Like,
He's 14. Sorry, Dad.
don't worry about it. Sorry.
But that was the last time we saw each other.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot has changed since then.
A lot has changed since. Yeah, I'm a Toronto girly now.
I know. 416.
How
does that feel?
I kept my 514
You kept your
number.
514?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's, you know what? We played a show at Bar La Ritz yesterday with some friends, Monowhales in Toronto.
You know, I saw Manuel's the first time you had opened for them.
Yeah, that was at Esco Griff.
They are amazing.
Oh
I've
my
started
God.
following them. They're so good live.
She's
She's awesome.
You came to the show. Yeah, Sally is.
I would have loved to have come. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just completely was exhausted. It has been so crazy and I completely forgot. So I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Total asshole.
I mean, yes, I'm not going to
Yeah,
deny
I'm a
that.
piece of shit.
Yeah. I'm just going to go write a song about that now.
Hold on, I'll be right back. Fucking piece of shit.
mean, especially like shows in December, it's the holidays, it's busy, everyone has family. Like, you know, I know we're traveling back and forth between Montreal and Toronto for family in the next couple of weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're forgiven.
Okay.
If it was any other month,
You still love me?
I showed up.
Okay, true.
So,
At least
yeah.
we have a few push-ups to do though after this.
A few what?
Push-ups.
No, I went to the gym this morning. I don't have to do it again.
Okay. Next time.
I'm very much that person that goes to the gym because I have to, and it feels good after, but I fucking hate it. I hate it.
On the way there, the amount of times I'm willing to like get hit by a car. Like,
Okay,
I'm
so
just
you
like,
have those thoughts too.
oh man, even when I was prepping for running and all like the
Yeah.
marathon stuff, there was some days where I'm like, honestly, please God, hit me.
Yeah.
Like
Not-
as I'm running,
not
just
major, just a little bit.
just to get me out of it.
Yeah, just a little,
Just like a little nudge, you know?
Oh no, yeah, I need to be watched for 24 hours and then I could go home. Yeah, fuck. So no push-ups. Not doing it.
Okay, so Toronto. Now you're coming back.
Toronto.
You had the show. Sorry, Monowhales.
We had the show with Monowhales at Bar La Ritz, and their show is like next level now. It's because last time we played with them, I think it was like 2-3 years ago at Esco Griff, and it was an amazing show. But now they've leveled up so hard. Like the preparation that they put in, you could see it when they play the show. The discipline that Sally, the singer, is on. Like,
She's awesome.
She was awesome. Now she's like
Next level.
transcended to like this
Transcendental.
transcendental. You know, I got high once and used that word, and now I'm like, this is my word.
That was a word that Dave Trainer had used in in the first episode. He's like, it was transcendental. I'm like, what a great word.
It's a great word.
Yeah. I was like, we have to name this episode Transcendental. That's what we named
Well,
it.
now I need a new word.
Yeah, now we need a new word for your episode.
Sorry, Dave. Dave's cool too. But yeah, no, it's next level. And I've been like, Sally and I watch each other pretty closely and stuff and just like pump each other up on like socials and everything. And the training that she's been doing, like physically, like just preparing and stuff, and the training vocally, like the discipline that she has is something I definitely aspire to. So yeah, for them to ask us to play this show, I was like, fuck yeah, like yes, I want to play this show. And then to top it off, Sally was like, do you want to sing a song together?
Oh shit.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, which one? And she's like, New Threads. And that's like one of my favorite Monorail songs.
Nice.
And I was so nervous I would forget the lyrics because, you know, when you listen to a song, you know the lyrics, but you don't know the lyrics. You just know it because you've listened so
And you're
much.
listening and you kind of like feed off the word as it's about to come in. You're like, oh yeah, I know the line.
Yeah.
But then if you're alone, you're like,
wait a minute.
what the fuck is the first word?
Yeah. And unless you're like, listen, I forget my own lyrics if I'm not singing them. Like I can't, if you were like, how does Little Italy start? I would literally have to start singing it because I don't remember it. So when she asked, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. I'm so excited. And then when we were doing sound check, we like rehearsed it. And I was so nervous that I would like keep forgetting the line. So I was like, oh no, like I don't want to.
What are we going to do?
What are we doing? But like, whatever, like classic, the second you get on stage and you're like feeding off the crowd, I was like, I know all these words.
Yeah.
You just have to like.
I got this shit.
Yeah, you're just dipping into your subconscious and you're like, oh, okay, like it's cool. I got this. And it was awesome.
And so now, but now that you're living in Toronto, and you know, like Monorails is from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
So are you connecting more with those bands and seeing something different that's really helping you? Because you've grown like online. I'm seeing the streams and like even just your performance, the way you present yourself on stage. I've seen a lot of growth in you, and it's awesome because I remember seeing you at Bell Media when we were just hanging out.
And do you remember the Christmas party when Jess and I played like an Ed Sheeran song?
Man, if I remember any Christmas party, that's already a blessing. Like I used to get so fucked up at the Bell Media Christmas parties.
Oh my God.
Man, we used to drink and drink and drink. So
I
remember bits and pieces.
Fair.
But I remember you like really talking about all these ideas and all these things you want to do. And there was that level of kind of like, I saw like a confidence in you, but this kind of shyness too at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's scary, you know, to be like, it's just, especially with something like music. We were talking before how like, different industries have different struggles, but they all sort of are the same. But I feel like the stakes when it comes to pursuing music as a career are so, it's, I don't want to say 1 in a million because I feel like that sounds exaggerated, because I think people who aren't within the music industry forget that there's this level of like people who can make a successful career out of it. And you don't have to be like Beyonce or Ariana, you know?
How long did it take you to realize that though?
A few years.
Yeah.
A few years, honestly, because
I thought if you weren't a rock star, you're nobody. Like there's you can't be in music.
But that's not it at all, you know? And that's we were talking before how like, you know, we're setting boundaries as well with like, okay, I have something that I'm putting out there. Do you want to get involved or not? And not chasing opportunities or chasing people to work with, because the right people do come at the right time, as long as you're like exuding this sort of belief and confidence in what you're doing. I truly do think that the universe aligns with that, you know, or you're aligning with the universe with your purpose and everything. Yeah,
you know what would help me kind of recognize that really was business, not music.
Yeah.
Because I found, you know, like in business, there's so many companies in the same industry that are successful. Then there's those uber successful ones, right? Like everyone thinks of, let's say, if you have to think fast food, you're like, oh, McDonald's, let's say as an example, Burger King, let's say those huge names in a fast food. But I mean, there's so many other chains that are super successful and they're not as popular as McDonald's. They're not as, but they're super successful. And they still have a steady income. Like they have a good business model and all that stuff. So exactly. And then I that's what happened with music, or like even the podcast. It was kind of like, you don't need to be Joe Rogan. Yeah. You could still have a successful podcast and not be Joe Rogan. Yeah.
I think it comes down to your intentions too of what you're doing, right? Yeah. Like I'm not trying to sell out stadiums and be touring with like Taylor Swift. And that's one thing that I learned literally in the past 6 months of like, okay, I don't want to be like an arena touring artist. That's not my goal. My goal is to be playing like the metropolises of the world. And like, if we're more successful than that we sell out Metropolis and need more space, I'm just going to do Metropolis twice.
Yeah.
Like 2 nights in a row, the way like Half Moon Run did. Because that's so much like...
It's so intimate.
It's
the show
so intimate.
I'm not a
and
fan anymore of the Bell
why
Center shows.
I've never liked stadium shows, you know? Like, I think the last stadium show that I went to was, oh my God, I saw Depeche Mode, and that was great, but it was also free. Yeah. Like, I don't want to pay stadium prices anymore.
Ever since I had to pay for shows, I was like, what?
Right?
What are the prices?
What do you mean I have to pay for it?
I was like, wait, what? This is what a concert costs like?
After
The last time I bought
pandemic
tickets,
too?
the last time I bought tickets was 2012.
Oh my God.
So I like my concept of pricing was like, oh, we're gonna get floor seats for $100. Like, yeah, what is this, 1967? It was like totally insane. Everything is like $300 a ticket.
And more. Oh my God. Like Noah Khan, I was looking at tickets for a stadium tour. It's like $600.
I know.
Like, what?
No way.
What do you mean?
Yeah, no way.
Like I'm very much like a 50 to 100 for concerts,
and like
you know?
the bands are really like 150, but I need to be like close, like at 150. I'm not paying 150 to be in the nosebleeds.
And like I think you and I are the same way when it comes to music. Of like we like that it's intimate, and there's a thing of like you're having a moment with the artist that you're seeing, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that in like venues like Metropolis, because you can actually like connect with the people who are in front of you. It's not just a bunch of little dots.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure it must be great, but that's not why I'm in music. I don't want to be at the stadium level. I want to be looking at the person, and I want to meet the person. And you know, our show on Saturday, there were 2 people that came up to me, not to like just fan about the mono-whales this whole show, but
I love you so much.
I love them. This whole podcast just becomes like my love for mono-whales. No, but their fans are some of the most supportive people I've ever seen in my life. And not like, hey, great set, we enjoyed you. Like, people were coming up to me being like, hey, I'm so sorry we missed the beginning. We were checking out your music the whole week before the show. We were like really pumped to come. And
that's cool.
Yeah, like people... Mono-whales fans were genuinely invested in like chasing the eclipse
and everything that came
up
with mono-whales.
Yeah, exactly. Which like just made me think of how much trust the fans have in them, and how like they've like built something so strong. And this girl came up to me after the show, and she like, I can't believe I didn't cry in front of her. Thank God I didn't, because I'm so dramatic. She took my set list from the stage. Amazing. I didn't even know I left it there. And she came to me and was like, can you sign the set list? And I was like, first of all, I am not Arctic Monkeys. What are you doing taking the set list? Like, am I, like, it's just this moment of like, yes, you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, of course I'm at that level, but it's also a moment of like, almost like humbling and very grateful of like, people see me like that, the way I see Arctic Monkeys sometimes. And it's like,
isn't that a mind fuck?
It's crazy. And like, I say Arctic Monkeys just because I would like, you know, be like, give me this.
Yeah. There's certain people that you just have like this thing that I agree to. There's certain artists that you would love to meet them, or just no matter what. And they played such a big role in your development as a musician, or just, you know, as a fan, or whatever the story is, that it's, if I could get like the set list from like Metallica, I got to pick. And I felt like,
it's
like,
amazing.
Like I felt like, honestly, like I was a 12-year-old girl, like when it was like the 90s, like boy bands. Just, you know, all this shit, you know. And it's true, because when you grew up with them, or you love that band, or whatever the story is, it's like you have this, you feel like you have a connection with them. So knowing that someone took the time to take your set list and want you to sign it,
connected with what we played so much that they're like, oh, I want this as a memory of that night, and that I was a part of that is just like, oh my God. Like, I think that's what's really magical about making music, is that you're making something usually by yourself. It's super personal. You don't want anyone to see it. And you're like, I'm working on something. Leave me alone. And you're like hidden. Yeah. And then you put it out into the world, and people are like, wow, I really connect with this. I connect with this so much. I want to put it in a playlist. Or like, I connect with this so much, I want to come see it live, and I want to get the set list, and I want to talk to this person about it. And it's just, I'm very, very grateful that people are taking the time to do that with me and my music.
Well, what's amazing is that this has been going on for a while now. Like the first few songs that you had released, I remember there was a few tracks, and I'm blanking out on the titles, but there was one that would hit like over 2 million streams. Yeah, like that's it. No matter, it was, Like, that was crazy. I remember you telling me even
Yeah.
stories of people like from Australia sending you messages, or was it that track where they were like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this song meant so much to me," and this is
No
something
matter
you
was
wrote it like where in your bedroom? Like it was
I
like
wrote it in my little Italy apartment with like wine stains on my shirt and like nasty tears. Not even like cute
oh, is that
crying,
ugly
like
cry?
ugly
That
cry. Yeah. Yeah. Of like, no one loves me. Like it was so bad.
It's so funny when
I
you think
wrote,
back at those moments and like that
oh my
downer moment.
God. It's so ridiculous. And like, I am still a little bit like, I don't want to say embarrassed, but I'm a little bit like, oh my God, don't listen to it. There's so
Why?
much, because it's like a very personal
Yeah.
song, you know, for someone to like hear, like, it almost feels like it's when you like write a poem and you want to like you want to show your friends, but you're like, don't look at me when you read it though. You're
Yeah.
like, it's too
Can we not
personal.
make eye contact?
Yeah, just like don't make eye contact. But yeah, no matter was like that shit hit a lot of people and I didn't expect it to because that was just a song that we like recorded really quick, put it out because we're like, oh, we need another single out before like before we just get forgotten because I was recording a bunch of stuff. And for some reason Spotify put it on a bunch of playlists and there's like translated versions of No Matter on YouTube.
Because I've heard different versions. Like I've heard remixes of it.
Crazy.
How do you feel knowing that someone remixed your song?
Amazing.
You know, like
And I'm
that
like,
first time
this
it
is-
happened, what were you thinking? Like,
it's strange. It's very, especially when a song is so personal like that, because it's like, wait a minute, what? Like, what do you, like, it genuinely takes a second to like process, and you're like, wait, you heard this song. Like, I genuinely try and put myself in other people's shoes, and I'm like, you heard this, connected to it, and then connected to it so much that you're like, I'm gonna do a Spanish version.
I'm gonna do
Or
the
like, I'm gonna do a cover of it, and it's
so
it's
cool.
wild.
Have you heard like all the different versions?
I look at everything. I'm like,
I'd be like so creepy. I'd be like, who made all
yeah,
these songs?
100. Oh my
I would
God.
be like, this is
Okay.
amazing. Every day I would be like, I can't believe someone like that's just me. I would be like, isn't this? I would be like, just that feeling of, I can't believe this is happening. Like just a shock.
Yeah.
Like someone
Yeah.
is doing this. Like
Yeah.
it's a song that I wrote.
I have that moment so often lately just because, I moved to Toronto and like we were saying before, things take time and patience is a big thing that I think we both had to learn. Like
Yeah.
I'm a very impulsive person, but especially with music, there's so many things that take time and in the best way possible, right? It's like a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on a first date with someone, they're like, I want to marry you. You wouldn't trust them.
That's
You'd
exactly.
be like,
I say this all the time.
Yeah, but it really is that. So like,
How creepy would it feel if somebody just came up to you and said, "I want to marry you"?
Yeah.
Like, so why would this work in any scenario in
For
your
any business.
business and your
Yeah.
in your craft? Like, you're
Yeah.
not gonna be in love the moment
Yeah.
you started.
yeah, and you have to take time to get to know someone because as much as you're investing in them, they want to invest in you. And how
Yeah.
can you have a proper relationship without knowing the person and knowing their business or whatever? And lately, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard being in Toronto. I'm like a Montreal girl, through and through. It took a lot for me to move.
What does that mean? Like a Montreal girl in Toronto? Like what do you what's and I love Toronto, to be honest. Like I love
Yeah.
Toronto. There's so many nice things about it.
Yeah.
But I could understand what you're saying. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
just-
trying to see how your
It's
like
just
point
a
of view
vibe.
is.
It's a vibe. And like the way I explain Montreal and Toronto in my brain, and people seem to get it when I say this, is that Montreal, I can walk these streets on my own and there's a certain music. There's something in the air. There's a vibe. There's an attitude of like, and it's welcoming and open and people want to get to know each other. And I'm very much that neighbor that says hi to their neighbor and like,
Yeah.
bonjour, ça va? Like,
Yeah.
Whereas like Toronto, I don't necessarily feel that in the streets, but I feel it with the community that I built there.
Yeah.
So I think it was really important that before I moved there, I had a group of friends
Okay.
that like have my back and I
Support.
have theirs. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that could totally be just because it's not my city per
Yeah.
se. Like I didn't grow up there, but I would be so like sad without my sense of community there.
Yeah.
Without like
I
you
think
know, the
that's-
friends that I have who like, oh, let's go to this concert on like a whim.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, let's go get drinks. Because you need people,
You need a tribe. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
you
care what
need a
anybody
tribe.
says, you need a tribe. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, if you walk into the most beautiful city in the world, but you're alone, inevitably it's just a bunch of buildings. Like it's
Yeah.
really a lot
Yeah.
of building, maybe more buildings, more people, but it's just more strangers.
Yeah.
And so I used to have this thing too when I was younger, like, oh, I got to get out of Montreal. I got to get out of Montreal. Like we're talking about even the Italian thing, like, being
I struggled a
Italian.
lot with that. I
Same
struggled
here.
with being Italian a lot because, like we're saying, you get typecast.
Yeah, it's
or
like
you're like,
I just could be a contractor, and that's
yeah,
it. That's my only
yeah.
option in life.
Which is totally fine if that's what you want to do. But
Exactly.
the fact that people would act like it's the only option
Yeah.
was like, what do you mean? Or like, this comes back to what I was saying before, how like, having that second of like gratitude with everything that you're doing, because everything within music, I built that from the ground up with the people around me. But if I look back to when I was like 18 even, I had no idea about the music industry. I didn't have like a connection somewhere or like someone who knew someone or like guitar school. I didn't even have like a guitar teacher or something, like it was really such a pipe dream and so far.
Well, how did it start then? So since there wasn't that surrounding you and you didn't have that like role model, what kind of sparked things for you to kind of say, one, I want to sing and then play guitar?
I think
Or was it
music
vice
was
versa?
always there. Like it was always there, like a cousin that just doesn't go away. Like my dad is an amazing vocalist. Like,
Okay, so your dad sings.
my dad sings. Like if Andrea Bocelli and John Bon Jovi had a baby, that's my dad. Yeah, wild.
Wild.
Wow, but he
Wholesale.
didn't pursue it.
Okay.
So that was just something he would do in the car or like Sunday mornings.
He
when
would
we
be the
would
best
clean.
karaoke singer of.
Imagine, oh my god, my dad freaking kills at karaoke.
So hold on a second. So your dad would be singing in the car.
Kind of, not even that much to be honest.
But
Like
you
I
s-
would.
But you said something like he didn't pursue it. Had he ever mentioned a regret about that?
Not necessarily,
No?
but
Okay.
you can tell when someone's passionate about something,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, you would have loved to do this, but life gets in the way, and
Yeah.
that's just what happens. But I mean, listen, he's pursuing it now. He's
yeah?
he's like singing at weddings and everything,
Oh,
and
shit.
he's more pro than I am. He like got a vocalist teacher and everything, and I'm like, oh my god, where did you find the time?
How cool is that? So do you guys do any
It's-
like? Do you, when you get together, let's say holidays, do you like do stuff together? Oh, that would be so.
And I'm so not that person.
Oh, you have to do it once.
I wish I was, but it's just so like.
I always said that, and last year for the first time,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because of the kid,
Yeah.
I learned how to play like Christmas songs on my guitar.
Oh,
I
amazing.
did like Jingle Bell Rock and all that
Yeah,
shit, right?
yeah.
And I was playing all this stuff. I had a blast.
Yeah.
Like people were
nice.
all singing, like my cousins
Yeah.
that were all like 30 plus now, not even
Yeah, they
kids.
love it.
And then the
It's-
kids are there, and it's like we're having a good time, and it's
Yeah. It
I don't know.
creates a moment.
It creates a moment.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I agree. But it was never like, again, it was such a pipe dream. It was just something that like, oh, wouldn't it be great to do this? But oh well, real life, we can't do it. This is how you know I'm Italian. I'm just like knocking everything.
Yeah, everything is falling for sure by the end of this episode.
Sorry. I'll do the
Sorry,
push-ups then.
sorry.
Sorry. I can't even hide
I
it
know.
if I try.
I can't.
yeah,
That's why I have to hold this, or else this hand is gonna block half the screen. Like,
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
keep my
You need to talk.
the cup in this hand, so it blocks me.
Yeah. Smart. But yeah, it was like, a thing I would like do for fun. I did like the high school variety shows
Yeah.
at Pearson. I sucked so bad.
Isn't that like the best lesson in the world sometimes?
Oh, my
But it's
God.
like terrible
Yeah.
and like the best lesson.
It's needed because
Yeah.
it humbles you.
Yeah.
Like I think about that too. I'm like, I'm happy that I was like, not someone who was, I guess, like industry standard of beauty
Mm-hmm.
or like very good from a young age, because it made me build character. As weird as that sounds, and like have other things going on.
Well, what do you mean
know?
exactly from that?
Like, if I was a good singer and performer
Mm-hmm.
from a young age, and people like
Adored me.
fed
yeah.
that to me, I would probably be a cocky little shit right now and be really annoying.
Mm.
But instead, I was a chubby little round kid who like didn't understand their tone because I had like that rasp.
Yeah.
Was kind of confident but got bullied.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, not that I don't think everyone should get bullied. That's not what I'm saying. You don't
You
need to
get bullied in your life. You want to be
Being
successful?
bullied builds character. No, it's not what I'm saying.
We're gonna cut just that
But-
part. You should be bullied.
I mean, you should be a bully.
You should be
No,
be a bully. It helps
Not
people.
what I'm saying. It helps you. But
Yeah.
it made me grow a confidence in myself because I wasn't given it like automatically
It wasn't
by
easy.
like society. It wasn't easy, no. And like I gave up possibly doing music for a long time because when I was 16, like 15, 16, I was like, yeah, I'm going to pursue music and I'm going to go to like the West Island and go sing at their choir because Montreal North didn't have a choir.
Yeah.
Like even our music class, we would watch Adam Sandler movies. It wasn't a music class.
Opera Man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
What
They're
we
like,
want.
I was singing the Lunch Lady song because that's the only song.
How terrible is that? That your music
Oh my
class was
God.
Adam Sandler, isn't that? But it's
My
amazing
God.
and like terrible all at the same time.
Yeah, but it just shows the sort of like the emphasis they put on like music, let's say,
Yeah.
in like Italian schools and stuff, just because like, oh well, you don't need that. Like, what do you mean?
I know.
Yeah, give the kids the option.
I completely hear you. I always felt like when I hear my nephews now, they talk about like when they went to Vince Massey now, and there, there's these choruses and all. I'm like, man, where the fuck were those choruses when we were there? There was like one drama class, and then after that it was like cut.
Yeah.
Finish.
Yeah,
Like no more.
like,
there was no music classes. There was nothing offered. It was just like
do-
science and math and shut the fuck up and
Yeah.
leave and go to CJEP.
Yeah, I do wonder if that was like government funding and stuff, genuinely. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the school system well enough, but it's just like, when I went to college and had all these friends who had like band practice and choir, like I was begging my parents to take me to a choir in the West Island, which was far when you're from
Yeah.
Montreal North. And
Big time.
they were like, they were into it. They sent me for like to just check it out and do the auditions and stuff. But at the end of the day, it was too far.
Yeah.
Not going to drive me there once a week. Like it was crazy. So it was really like learning on your own and sort of like not being given the tools to pursue this, but like working to find them and being like, okay, I want to do this. Where do I have to like look for
Figure it
things?
out.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as like a teen and young adult in like college and stuff, I had a lot of body issues. Like I'm pretty open about it when I talk in public about like eating disorders and body dysmorphia and stuff and just learning that side of me. So that took me away from music a lot because you feel horrible. You don't want to be in a spotlight.
And I'm sure it also takes a toll mentally too. Like
Of course.
like your thought process is focused on this so much that
Yeah.
it has an impact on the output of an art, right?
Yeah. The art, the confidence that you put into it. And it's crazy when I think about it now, how much mental space I let that take from me, and being like, well, can't be on stage if you're not like stick thin, or, well, people are not going to want to see you because you don't look like Taylor Swift, or no. It's just such a crazy mental game. So I let go of music for a long time because of insecurities. And, I got made fun of for my voice because it's raspy.
Yeah.
Like people thought I was sick all the time. So I'm like, why would I be a singer if people are like making fun of the one thing that makes you a singer, right?
How do you deal with that? Like
You cry a lot.
you write no matter. You write no matter. You write a
matter.
song that has 2 million streams.
You made a song about it. It's hard as like a young kid.
That's what I was gonna say. Is how did you get it? Because I think of myself and I sucked at the beginning, and then when you said about like the like people loving you at a certain point, and then it shifted, and then I remember towards the end of high school, it's like, oh yeah, I really I played well. A lot of people wanted me to play in a band, so I kind of got like the ego skyrocketed, right?
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, it was like, oh, wake up call. I suck compared to these guys. You know what I mean? Like, and then my ego crushed again.
Yeah.
But it went the opposite. I kind of, in one way, like I don't know, would have been better had I never had experience. Let's say that. Such a positive reaction that when I got to college, maybe the hard work in me, I let go a bit of the hard work.
Yeah.
And I noticed how much work it was to catch up to some of these guys in college. And then I gave up after that. Like I did the opposite. Like I was just like, oh man, I realized at that point that if I'm not going to put as much work as these people, I'm just not going to make it. And my concept of making it was also different too, where making it was rock star. There was no middle ground. So
you didn't see the middle ground.
I didn't see the middle ground. And that's when I kind of disappeared from it. And in one way, like I have regrets. In one way, I don't. Because I kind of like, I like the way life turned out in another way. And it's not like a knock on music. It was just.
Your path is what it has to be.
Exactly.
That's all it is. And like, you said something really powerful there when you're like, you were saying, if I have to work as hard as these people, or like I have to be there, I don't want to be there, or like I don't have the drive to be there.
I don't have, exactly.
That's a lot of the reason that like people are successful in music. It's not like and this hurts me saying it because I want it to be about talent and I want it to be about the uniqueness, but it's like being successful in music is such a mix of being talented and having the drive and being disciplined.
Oh my God.
Because it's such a long game.
Thick skin.
Thick skin, you have to.
Because you're going to get
How bad
rejected.
do you really want this?
And how many rejections or people
Oh
tell
my
you
God.
suck along the way?
Okay, literally like once a week I have a breakdown of like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I can be like comfortable, have a regular job, like 9 to 5, live my life, go on vacation, and not put these hundreds of thousands into music. But I can't. Like, it's genuinely not a choice. And I try to explain this to my mom sometimes, who's extremely supportive of all of it. Like, once she saw the level of like, oh no, I'm doing this in like what I was doing musically, she was like, yeah, no, I get it. You have to do this. Like, you have to move to Toronto. You have to do this. And like, she helps me in any way that she could, which I could not be more grateful for. But it's really hard to explain to someone that you can't, I'm not choosing to do music. I have to do it or I will like die. And I know I'm dramatic, but that's what it is though.
Just a bit of drama. But but isn't that like, this is what people, to me, in one way, it's like people look at that like it's a curse sometimes. You know, they're like, oh.
It is.
But you know what I find is a bigger curse?
What?
Not having a passion for anything.
Oh my God. I agree.
Everyone I
100%.
know that doesn't have a passion for something, there's a part of them you could see is that they just wish they were passionate about something. And it's hard because you can't force yourself to be passionate about something.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like loving something a lot when you're younger in one way is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, like when someone is an athlete, let's say, or in arts or I don't know, anything, even like my buddy Matt, like he loved business from a kid. Like he was a kid, stock market. Like he was that guy. We used to make fun of him, like,
oh my
you know,
God.
like, and he'd be, hello, look at here, and it's 20. You know, like we used to make all these like 1920s like stockbroker thing, you know.
Oh my God, my cousin. Really quick side note: my cousin has twins who are adorable, and we had lunch with them yesterday because I'm like barely in Montreal now. And he was sitting there with like a little chart just drawing lines. And we're like, Biagio's drawing the stock market. I'm like, he's going to save us in 2025. Like,
he's going to figure it all out.
Yeah, he's going to
put on
guys,
him.
I can't have pasta. I'm busy doing business.
But it's great. Like some people, like they just know it from when they're young, right? So we're kind of like blessed about that. Mm-hmm. But then when you don't have that passion or you never experience something that you're really that passionate for, I noticed that a lot of people, it's like their whole life, they're kind of like, so what do I do?
Mundane.
It's mundane, you know, and there's a part of me that's like, oh, I wish I could help trigger something of passion, but
you have to find that
you have to find that yourself. Like you have to be open to even being scared to try something and like taking that chance, because sometimes you know that fear it jolts you into something that you really like. So we're kind of like blessed that we found things that we loved when we were younger.
Yeah, I think about that a lot too. Just like, wow, what would I be doing in life if I wasn't driven by music? Because I do think there's something to be said about not making, let's say, music in this case, your whole life. Yeah. Because I am a person outside of that. You know, I am someone who likes to bake, or maybe I would have started a cafe or something, which down the line I would love to do. But
Side note.
We're
opening up a new spot on.
Imagine, my God. No, but like it's so important to have that passion in life, and I think it genuinely keeps you young too, because you're happy and because you're like, you know, you're living life for yourself. And I think that's one thing that's always been crazy to me, how like people will not pursue something in the arts because it's not stable, but then they like have this, not regret, but this like, what if? And I cannot live with what ifs. Like it's impossible. Like, and there's no other way to explain it than like, it's your life. Like your whole life, you want it to be for someone else, or like you want to live an entire, your essence, your purpose of being, you want it to not be something you're wildly passionate about. Yeah. But then it comes down to, like you said, it's hard to find your passion if you don't have one or haven't found it yet.
Do you find what's helped, and I couldn't agree more, by the way. Everything you said is like, it really hits home. And I find, what I've gotten better at doing is understanding the role of things in the big picture. So like the podcast has a role, and it's something that's a super big part for me right now. But I know that there's other things that need to still be there because they support everything, right? So it's like there has to be that balance where before I had a hard time balancing things.
You're saying like the admin stuff?
Yeah, like the admin stuff you don't want to do. But, sometimes like I used to always say, oh, I wish I could just do everything I want to do on a daily basis and nothing else. And then I realized like over time that that's just not reality. Like you have to, and I hate the word reality because be realistic. I hate that word.
You make your own reality.
Yeah, but it's the idea of like when people say like, oh, be realistic. It's like, no, I don't want to be realistic on my dreams, but I need to be realistic that it takes time. I need to be realistic that it's going to be hard work. I need to be realistic that there's other things that need to happen for this to happen too. Like, and that I have control over this. And I used to have a hard time with that. I used to be like, oh, if it's not just the stuff I really want to do, fuck everything else, right?
Yeah, same. When's your birthday?
November 4th.
You Scorpio?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're intense.
You're
intense.
You're fucking intense.
No, but like I'm an Aries, and like I think
and
we're
you're
the
intense
same.
too,
and, like,
right?
Yeah, of course.
Bro, come on.
come on. No, but it's this thing of like, you don't half-ass things.
No,
you're
I
like
can't.
I'm either all in or all out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes those moments tough. Of like, oh, but I don't want to do this, but like you have to. So it's. I totally agree with you because I have the same struggle.
But but now, don't you find like, as an example, like we were talking earlier, like that you have to be in Toronto and you're gonna do some stuff there, and there's maybe stuff you don't like, but the opportunity maybe allows it, and it makes it more it makes more sense for you right now to do this.
Yeah. And I like being in a new city. I like being in Toronto.
But there's the pros and the cons. Whereas before, if it wasn't like all pro, like for me, it was like if it wasn't all like the way I wanted it, I'd be like pissed, I guess, and you're like, how come I have to deal with that shit?
Yeah.
And as I get older, more and more, I realize like you have to deal with shit you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it kind of like almost, it's a litmus test. Do you really want to do this?
Oh, 100%.
Because if it was perfect, 100%. It's easier to do it, but it's hard.
Yeah. And this is what you were saying about college with music of like, oh my God, if I have to be, I don't want to put that work in, but that's what it is. It's how badly do you want it? Because it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. And I'm not saying you have to struggle, but there are going to be things that you don't like. Like I'm good at like admin stuff when it comes to like music and let's say building a release plan and stuff. Like I enjoy it. I have a really hard time.
You also work in marketing, right? So like
well, and I studied music business, right? Because that goes back to what I was saying before about like I didn't pursue music as an artist. I studied music business.
I didn't know you studied music business.
Oh,
I know you worked in the music business, but I know you were doing like the stuff like the copywriting stuff, and you were like in the background a lot of that stuff.
I studied to be. I was convinced I would be like a tour manager or a booking agent because I always loved live music.
I didn't all these years. I never knew that.
Oh yeah. I know a thing or two. But so it was always like there, and then like. Just to get back to the question that you asked like 20 minutes ago, Luca, our friend, Luca, the producer, reached out to me when I was like maybe 21, 22, being like, hey, I'm like studying to be a producer. I have this studio, space. Do you want to come by and sing a few songs?
How did he know you even sang?
High school.
Okay.
High school, yeah. We just went to the same high school. He probably saw my really shitty variety show performances and was like, whatever, I just need someone to sing.
I need to practice. I
don't care if she's shitty. But I didn't know my voice
that long. I didn't know that's how it started. It was just kind of like come in and you want to try out basically some stuff.
Essentially, or like he just needed a vocalist to record and like track vocals, which like fast forward to 2023 and Luca is like a magician with vocals. Like everyone goes to him for vocal recordings because he's awesome. He captures it, and that's all you can really want from a producer is someone who can capture your essence. So we recorded like a couple of songs. So I was always songwriting a little bit, and then I was like sort of seeing a route of like, oh, maybe I can be a songwriter. Like I can maybe pursue that and write for other people. But that was also really hard to crack because I didn't know anyone. Like all I knew was Luca, who didn't know anyone either. We were like just growing at the same sort of level. And I didn't have any writing credits. So if I go to someone and I'm like, hey, I want to write a song for you. And they're like, cool. What do you have? And I'm like,
great.
Yeah.
Send it over.
Nice. So I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I'll start like an artist page or something. And then we started Cinzia and it was just me, which was weird because I'm like, it's like too much spotlight on my name. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And
how come you just didn't like the attention of it?
Yeah, I think it's music is never something I wanted to do alone, which is so funny for me to think now, like being in the music industry and stuff, because it's impossible to do it alone because
There's so many people.
so many people and you need community. There's no one on this earth who will be like, I have a music career and it's all thanks to me and only me. Like, no.
Everybody though, like any career, you can't do anything
You
alone.
can't
The
like,
more you think you're alone, the more you'll just stay alone and stay in your room.
but human beings, we need that. We
Yeah.
need that like sense of community to grow together and
Yeah.
learn from each other, you know? So I added the eclipse originally because I was like, well, Luca is involved in this too. So I don't want it to just be like Cinzia, because it's weird. It's not just me, and I'm not that person. And I think I always wanted to be in a band. Like I thought that was so cool that like you have people and like you're just
Yeah,
you all go for coffee
it's like
together.
a gang.
Yeah,
It's a gang.
exactly. It's a gang. Yeah. And
It
I'm
totally.
like,
I
love
loved being in
that.
a band. That was like the best part. Was like the hanging out with, like writing the songs and hanging out together was the best part about being in a band.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. And I'm like, if I'm not in a band, I don't want to have like this career or whatever. But like then I grew up and realized that you have community. It's
Yeah.
not just a band. Like there's
Exactly.
everyone involved. So yeah, I started recording with Luca, and we put out 2 songs, and the second song was No Matter, and people really liked it. And like I often wonder if I would have had the strive and the like determination to pursue music if I didn't get that sort of quote unquote instant gratification with No Matter, because that success for that came really soon and I wasn't ready for it. And I wish I was, because I would have like capitalized on it on like putting out more songs and you know, taking like if I'm thinking about it now, because I'm a little wiser when it comes to the music industry now, I would have like sang those covers with people or like done a Spanish version where that artist that did it, they like me and them collab on something.
Yeah.
And like I would have taken advantage of it more, but it was more like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like I was not ready for that at all. But it gave me a lot of confidence of like, okay, people want to hear what I have to say. And not only do they want to hear it, they're connecting with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want as like someone who's writing songs and everything. But
So it's crazy because you know, that success in one way, did it not propel you and force you to grow up a lot faster when it comes to that versus that slow churn where sometimes it takes so long and then you might not even last, right? Like you might have done the opposite had it not had the success. Maybe you wouldn't be here today.
yeah,
And say,
that's
fuck
what's
this, you know, it's kind of,
terrifying.
you don't know. Yeah. Like that success kind of made you realize, oh my God, there's like the
That's
shock.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what's like terrifying of it all. Of like, and another reason that I'm very much like, wow, everything in this life in everyone's life has this path.
You
that we
can't
just
see it
need to-
yet.
You can't. Yeah, and you just, you know what? You have to like follow your gut and listen to yourself so much.
My God. It's,
But it's hard to do though,
it's so-
especially with so many voices now these days. Like you can get anyone to sort of echo what you're saying in this day and age, you know? So it's really hard to take a second and be like, okay, am I listening to myself, or are there too many voices involved, or are people just confirming what I want to hear and not what I need to hear?
You know, it's funny you say that because the idea, I feel like and I love technology, I love all this stuff, but at times it removes something that's essential that makes us human, just like our gut feelings, you know, like thinking a little more just instinctual.
Yeah.
And because we're so hit on a daily basis with stats and numbers and data, but there's a human side behind the data. So like when someone says, you know, like, oh, you have to do your market research. I get you have to do market research, but you can find any research that will tell you this will not work.
Yeah, exactly. You could.
You are going to find whatever it is that you kind of are constantly told. So if you're always hearing, you know, most businesses close or people don't make it, and you know, and all those things when it comes to art and music, and all of a sudden you'll find every stat that says, you know, 70% of people don't make it, and but there's 30% that do.
Yeah, exactly. See, like that's
You know-
where my drive comes. Where my drive comes from, because I'm that annoying person who's like, let's say like 99.9% of people don't succeed, and I'm like, okay, but what about that 0.1% though? And like, what are they doing? How are they succeeding? And you like, I'm annoyingly optimistic sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, don't give a fuck. Like, that's what pushes me to get where I want to go, because you're like, you know what? It's possible though. So why would I not pursue it? And it comes back to like getting what you want out of your life.
But how is that struggle? Like, that's what I'm saying, is that you have this struggle of your gut is feeling something, but your mind is telling you you're not going to make it. You know, or, you know, like people are going to tell you it's so tough. So that's where I find that element of trusting yourself, like you were saying earlier, is okay, I need to trust my gut. Like, my gut knows the answer. And usually
it's hard though.
Do you find that every time you have made a mistake anyways, following your gut, you never feel like it's a mistake and you feel like it's more of a lesson?
Yeah. 100%.
I always feel like if it was my own decision, I'm okay with the mistake because it's really a lesson. Whereas whenever I make a decision, when I remember we were younger, like I'd make a decision based on other people's information or stats or some BS, whatever, that was just like echoing someone else's voice. Yeah. I've always felt a regret. Because it's like, fuck, I didn't listen to myself. Why didn't I listen to myself?
You know what? Okay, I hope this changes your mind about that. Because yes, but I hate feeling regret. And I refuse to like put any of the sort of blame or weight on anyone else when it comes to decisions of my life. Like I was in a situation where I trusted someone who had way more experience than I did. And we put out a song that I didn't necessarily want to put out as Chins in the Eclipse. It didn't fit for me. And like, this is again coming back to like realizations and knowing what you want to do and your boundaries and who you are. And it took me, again, I only recently confirmed to myself like, hey, you know what? I'm not a pop artist. I'm a folk pop artist. So I want to get back to my roots of like, we go to the studio with a guitar and then we build around that, not building around a pop beat just because I'm capable of writing a pop melody. Like, I understand that in my core, I'm a folk pop artist. And now, like, only now am I realigning with that. In the next few, like, past few months, I've decided that, and, like, everything that I do is towards that. But, like, rewind to that moment, I was working with people who have much more experience than I do within the music industry. And they heard this pop song and were like, you have to release this. I'm like, doesn't really fit with me. This is, like, very pop. It's not my thing. I don't know if I connect with it. And you know, they were sort of telling me like, okay, I hear you, but maybe you need this song to come out so you could connect with more people. And then once this song is out, everyone will connect to like the folk pop stuff. And it's like,
so kind of the put something out there to create some of that momentum.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. But I've also been a very strong believer of like, even if that's the case, do I want success that way? Do I want success with a song that I don't really connect with? Like, in my heart, like, no, that's my automatic answer is no, I don't. But then being an Aries, I know I'm very stubborn. I know I'm very like set in my ways. And if I have something in my mind, I usually don't let people like, I don't let other people's opinions in. Yeah. And like, but I've also noticed I'm like, okay, I need to be self-aware and let other people's opinions in. And I think I let it in a little too much with that because we released the song. And everybody it's like people's favorite song, and it's great. It's a beautiful song. Is it Chins in the Eclipse? No. Yeah. I don't connect with it. So it was like I had to sit back and be like, you know what? I don't care what everyone else thinks. I need to be releasing what I want to and trusting my gut when it comes to that. And in that moment, I could totally be like, oh, I regret this because somebody else influenced my decision. But I let them influence my decision.
You hold accountability for the decision.
Exactly. Like, we need to be accountable for the fact of, like, we made the choice to be like, okay, maybe your decision is better than mine. And the thing is, I think I needed that to finally, like, have that solid confirmation of, like, no, I want to be folk pop. And if I didn't do that, who knows? Maybe I would be releasing more pop.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that's why I agree. Like before I used to have that feeling of regrets. And now it's like, one, I actually want to hear other people's opinion, but I know I'm making my own decision in the end. Like I'm not going to be, it could be based on it, and it could have been something I would have thought of. And that's great. You know, and it made me have a different perspective. But ultimately, I've made a decision to decide to make my own decisions on everything.
I've decided to make my own decisions.
I've decided to start making my own decisions.
But it's true.
It's so weird that it takes so long to realize that because you're so surrounded constantly about people. And the other thing too is I also ask myself who's giving the opinion. So,
oh my gosh,
you know, when I hear someone talking to me about like health stuff and they're smoking, I'm like, guys, like, No.
Yeah.
You can't give me tips on health.
Yeah.
If you're smoking a cigarette. Like it's not like I have anything. I used to be a huge smoker, but it's like it makes no sense for me to take my health information from someone that is completely irresponsible on their own health. But if someone is super fit, as an example, like I had a guy that I had on the show, and he was an ultra marathon runner and all this stuff, and he's giving me tips on nutrition for running. He was giving me tips on the shoes, and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna try, and then I'm gonna make my own decision because. Plus, it's also he's been through it at least, so at least there's some sort of weight. It doesn't mean his experience is my experience, but his experience just holds a little more water.
It's almost like an educated opinion.
It's an educated opinion ultimately because my track to get there is going to be unique from yours, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah. Oh my God. I always say that, especially about music.
Yeah, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
It doesn't make sense to me for anything, I guess outside of music too. It doesn't make sense for it to be a competition because if we're both making folk pop, let's say, what you do is never going to be what I do.
It can't.
And what I do is never going to be what you do.
It can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
And that's why it's like people even like if other podcasts or whatever it is, there is no element of competition. It's because your show is going to be different than mine.
Yeah.
And mine what makes mine different is me.
Yeah. So, and no one can like replicate that.
And no one can.
Yeah. No, come on.
Well, that's why I have this. It's like, this is literally the reason why I have that there is because it's the truth. No one else can be you. So just enjoy what you're doing and have enough faith, I think, and confidence in yourself to just be you.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't like it, that's okay too.
But it's hard, right? Like I struggle with having everyone like me. I want everyone to like me.
Everyone wants everyone to like them.
Yeah, but like at a certain point you have to be like, well, if you don't like it, that's the way I am. And that's a hard flip to switch in life, because again, you want everyone to like you and it sounds so easy, just be you and you're unique, but how many of us, especially growing up in like the 2000s, have told to not like our body or like not like the way you are, not like you because you should look like this or you could do this, and that does something to your subconscious. Like, bruh, I was like starving myself. Bruh. Come on. But like, I'm one of the like extreme cases, but it affected everyone, whether you realized it or not. There was like, you're constantly told that you shouldn't be unique because you have to be accepted by like these companies that just want to sell you shit.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, and it's like, look, I understand there's business and that's all cool, but more and more just knowing who you are so you can make the decisions kind of like even like let's say with the show, like I've had people ask me like to put ads on the show and stuff and I'm like, oh, amazing, like on the business you're like, oh, this is amazing, but a part of me was like, I want to make sure that the ad that I put on is beneficial and I think it can help the audience. Like, so if someone,
love that you're thinking that.
Yeah, because I'm like, like I saw these ads that came in and like, they just don't fit with the style that I want. It didn't mesh. And I felt like, what's the value that I'm doing, that I'm giving the audience? Yeah. And so there was one that was like a podcast about AIs, right? About about AI and like how it's going to help, what you should know about AI and the future of it. And in my mind, I'm like, this is a big topic. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are kind of either worried about it, excited about it. There's something here that people want to know the information. No, it's a podcast. Technically, why would I want an advertise a podcast on the podcast? Yeah. In one sense, it's like I would drive audience there. But I'm like, but it's so different. And this could be so helpful for someone that maybe is feeling some sort of anxiety when it comes to AI.
And it's a different topic.
It's a different topic, right? So go there and hopefully this can help educate you.
Yeah.
And I find that's what I'm realizing is, like you were saying about control over your own destiny is I have control over this show. You have control over your music. And so you can position yourself how you want. And sometimes it takes longer. But it feels like it's really yours. Yeah. And you're growing with it.
Yeah. So and not sometimes. I think it will always take longer because paving your own way is always more difficult than just following what someone put out. Yeah. Right? And like it's oh my God, I lost my train of thought while I was speaking.
I'm going to let you sit in that for a bit.
What was I saying?
We were talking about making it on your own, about the self-confidence. Like I remember
paths being longer, self-confidence.
We're also talking about, I remember like that it was like these companies kind of like, I don't know.
Maybe feeding things. But because I was saying I'm very excited that you're putting in time of like what ads go into your podcast. because I do the same thing with music as well, of like, you know, when you get placements, and a placement is like when your song gets placed in a commercial or in a TV show or a movie and stuff, there are certain things on my list that I refuse my music be a part of. You know, like when it comes to hunting or animal cruelty is a big thing for me. Actually,
I can't picture your music.
Can you imagine? Just oh my god!
Don't kill this animal, and then you hear a Cinzia.
Oh my god! No, but like let's say like Canada Goose is not. I don't really. It doesn't sit well with my values.
Yeah.
So there's like a list of like, well, no, I don't necessarily want to be associated with that because it doesn't fit with my values, doesn't fit with my connection. Or like when it comes to rescues or adoptions. Like, yeah, for sure, make me Sarah McLachlan, but I will remember you. Yeah.
I can't hear that song without feeling like shit, though.
Oh, I cry every time, just because I see the little puppy eyes.
I see a fucking dog, the cat, something in a cage. I'm like, yo, I'm going to buzz. Stop playing. But now it triggers. I hear the fucking song anywhere. I'm in the radio, but I start with the poor fucking dog. I'm not even watching the commercial.
No, that's amazing placement. Like, someone did, like, the music supervisor there did, like, the best job they could have done with that song.
Making me feel like shit every time I hear that fucking song.
Well done.
Thank you, Sarah McLachlan, for ruining Christmas every year for me.
Ruining Christmas.
Fuck.
Stop being the Grinch.
Fuck, god damn it.
No, but there needs to be thought into these things because you're putting your values into it, right? And, like, I don't know. I'm a little hocus pocus-y about like things in my life and stuff. My boyfriend was just making fun of me because every time I see a dime, I'm like, oh, it's someone from the afterlife telling you that they're watching over you.
Man, you're and like my cousin. My cousin, any little thing. She's like, oh my God, the ladder. No, it's like, there's all the superstitions, all the stuff with the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love you, D.
But no.
Don't worry.
But yes.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. Walk under the ladder. You're fine.
You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. No, but he's like, you say that about everything. And I'm like, that's not true because everything has a different meaning. So it's different things about the things. So
I like to
anyways.
Shut him down fast.
Yeah, I was like, please leave me and my dimes alone. But I'm just saying hocus pocusy of just like, and when someone listens to my song, there's my energy in that song. There's something in there. So if my song is associated with something that I don't align with, it's like taking energy away from me, you know? And we feel that internally, like in our subconscious.
Well, I think if we get back to your music, I think what made it special is that it really feels genuine. And I think that's always been something that I remember even when we were sitting down at Bell Media, like just in the office together and talking to each other, and I would hear something from you and
I would get in trouble because I would be
we'd be talking the whole time instead of working.
Be like, so can you do your job?
Mm-hmm. So
sure.
Stef,
so music.
Music. Let's get back to that. But there was always something like just hearing some of the demos, and I remember at the time and just hearing you and the passion that you had behind it. I think had always been like, and I know I'm talking you up right now.
I'm like,
oh my God, that's high. But it was just like, I hope, in my mind, I was like, I hope things work out because I really felt that there was that passion for it. And I think that was always a thing that I remember following, coming to you at the shows. I remember those small shows on the corner, Saint-Viateur, that place. Yeah. Saint-Viateur and Saint Laurent. It was kind of like a tea room or whatever, but in the back there was...
the KGB.
Yes.
KGB closed.
Yeah. Oh. So I remember coming and watching you one night over there, and you had such a great set. And everyone in the crowd was just really connected and resonated with you.
Oh my God, that was my first show.
That was your first show?
That was my first show ever.
And you killed it. You knocked it out. Like it was awesome that night. I remember
purple
watching.
Hair then.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I remember.
But it was just like something that, and then as the tracks kept on getting released, I'm like, wow, I was really happy to see that momentum. And to see you now, like this is years later, and like, you know, you have meetings with publishers, you're in Toronto, like I've seen you do some pretty big shows now, connecting with bigger artists. Like, how are you feeling when you, like, do you ever take a step and look back at that and say, wow, this has been a fucking amazing journey? Or what a journey, at least.
Yeah, I have to. I never want to be at a point where I take any of it for granted. Especially like what we were saying at the beginning of the show of like, I really started with no idea what the music industry was. No sort of uncle or friend or someone who knew someone. Like it was really, my first job within music was a street team member at the radio stations we used to work at. You know, like I was holding signs being like, listen to this station, you know, like that's genuinely where it started. And it's just me being annoyingly talkative, just like, what do you do? What do you do? And like, what's going on here? And like, just trying to understand the industry from that level and build myself from there.
Yeah.
It's just with that in mind, I often, very, very often sit back and just like, wow, okay, wait, how did we get here? How did we get to a point where I can look at, let's say, artists like Charlotte Cardin and be like, oh, I know the peoples that she works with. The peoples
The peoples that she works with.
The people, yeah, you know.
I
But like,
love the people that she works with.
I love it. Or like, it's just weird that
Yeah.
like, I can be at a point where it doesn't seem like I said pipe dream before. It's more reality now
Yeah.
of like, oh, okay, if I want to work with that producer, I just have to hit up this person, okay? Or that's her label. Oh, I know them.
You see a path now.
There's, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's an attainable path. And just like, you know, we opened up for Jonathan Roy twice in Montreal and then in Quebec City. And that's wild. That's like Quebec royalty, essentially,
Yeah.
you know? Or like the fact that we came with Mono Whales and they're signed with a major and stuff. And it's just also like the contacts that I have at within the industry with like labels and publishers and publicists and stuff. It's people that are like, this isn't crazy anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy to be like, oh, Sony Music is like huge or like universal. Like, I've been in songwriting camps with people who have written with these huge acts and have like song placements on some of your favorite shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's very attainable.
It feels real now.
It
feels
real.
It feels tangible.
It is, exactly, yeah.
And how are you, like, how is this all like playing in your mind now? Like the impact on you mentally, knowing that this pipe dream is actually somewhat tangible. Like how is this motivating you even more now than it ever was?
It pushes me to make it consistent. That's like, and I was speaking with my manager and we were saying 2024, the word of that year is consistency. And, you know, being a supporting act to these artists for a whole tour run and not just some cities, you know, and so maybe collaborating with people that can make our work more consistent when it comes to playing shows and playing festivals and placements and stuff. Because like I have a Disney Plus placement, but that was completely independent too. So I sort of had no way of making it consistent and have it be a recurring thing. So to get back to your question, it's really this balance of like being really grateful and humble and being like, wow, how did we get here? And literally going over the journey from day one to today in my mind and being like, how did we do that? When I say we, I mean like everyone involved.
Yeah.
And also like meshing that with this idea of like, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're good enough to be doing that. Yeah. There's a different confidence in me, I think, in the past year or so of like, yeah, of course, you're putting the work in. Yeah, you're going to get this. It isn't crazy. It's not like we were talking about chasing opportunities before, and I always felt like I had to because it's like I had to prove that you want to work with me or like, look, I'm so awesome. Like, look at everything I'm doing.
Please,
like, look,
please.
yeah, please. Like, and that's like desperate energy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, again, we can compare it back to when you're like in a relationship or something. You don't want to date the person who's desperate to date anyone.
Please tell me you
like,
love me. Please tell me all the time.
Yeah, and it's like the self-confidence and self-love go such a long way because people are drawn to that energy because you have so much love within for what yourself and what you're doing that people are like, yeah, oh, I want a piece of that. Like, that's good energy. That's positive energy. And I think altering that within music and with what you're doing comes back to being aligned in the right ways.
Yeah.
You know, and like having that moment of like, yeah, no, this makes sense. And knowing that you're where you are when you need to be, how you need to be. Because that's hard. And like, I'm saying that now, but I guarantee you in a week, I'm going to be like, am I really supposed to be doing this?
Everything is fucked up.
It's hard. It's hard. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
And that's when you have to kind of revert back to that word of the year, right? Consistency.
Consistency, yeah. Because things, you're not going to get, you don't want everyone to want to marry you. Because then it's not special.
Yeah.
Or it's not honest.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to.
I love that you have a theme for next year. It's funny. I have the exact same idea. Like for next year, it's growth. It's just grow in every way possible. Grow as a better, communicator. Grow as a team. Grow as a the concept of the show. Grow mentally and creatively. Like don't be afraid to push the boundaries of the show and go into areas that you were a little afraid to go in and really touch upon things that feel uncomfortable, so that way you can start getting comfortable with them.
I feel like you're a big fan of like stepping out of your comfort zone to grow, because that's where the growth is.
Exactly, right? And I've always felt that way, because every time I've stepped out of it, I've always noticed that it goes leaps and bounds on a growth level.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So to me, it was like, don't be afraid of the growth, because it actually, don't be afraid of the uncomfortable state you're in, because ultimately it becomes comfortable. It will. If you keep doing it, it will become comfortable. The consistency. So kind of like I felt like I could even like feed off what your theme is, which is consistency. It's like by being consistent, you will grow, and you'll be okay with the uncomfortable feeling that you were in for a brief period of time. And so to me, it's like seeing this growth from you and seeing all of this has just been so awesome. And hearing kind of like what next year is looking like. Well, I don't like talking about next year, but I mean, just this idea of like this consistency, it seems like it's working out really well for you. I'm so happy. And I'm so happy you came by. And
me too.
And I'm so happy that we stayed friends after all these years.
Yeah, I feel like those friendships are the most important, where you're like, because we haven't seen each other in a long time. And like,
yo, dude, it's like at least 3 years, I think.
At least 3 years. It's not like we haven't seen each other, but we talk every day. It's like, we haven't spoken in like a hot minute, but it still feels like we got coffee yesterday.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, what's up? What's new? You have a whole baby.
I know.
Like,
it's fucking crazy.
Wild.
And that's why it's like seeing this even on your end. It's what I love is that we're kind of growing in our own ways. Yeah. But yet we're still connected and happy for each other to see that. And I think that's the nice part about this. And so for me, I just want to say like, thank you so much for coming here today.
Yeah, thanks
sharing
for
the stories, like some great times, and also those tough times that made you kind of push through, and being open about it, and just honestly wishing you only the best. Like it's going up, and I just hope it continues to rise. And even when it doesn't, be consistent. It's gonna work out.
It's gonna get there, and now you just have to come to the shows.
I know, definitely.
Oh my God, if you would see the show now.
Oh my God, well, we're talking about that. I didn't realize like that was your first show and it was killer. So I'd love to come and see the next shows.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything? Like this is gonna be released in January, because we're like we're recording right now. When's the next show? Is there anything here in Montreal?
Are
you back in Montreal?
A festival in January.
Okay, where?
I'm gonna say it wrong. Stouffville.
How do you spell it?
Stouffville.
Okay.
Stouffville, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's in Quebec?
No, it's in Ontario.
Okay,
it's a festival called Winter Song, and Winter Sleep is headlining it.
Okay.
So when they called us to play, I was like, yes, I definitely want to play this festival.
When's this in January?
January 18th.
Okay.
So
maybe it might work out. We're gonna find out. But
but
either way, anytime you ever have anything, let me know. Repost. Yeah. Definitely help and support as much as possibly can. For
sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the real conversation.
I know.
God. Yeah. No bullshit. We did it. We did it.
Hey, thanks for checking out the show. It's been awesome working on this project. And if you like it, tell a friend. And if you want to support the show, you can by 1, subscribing and liking our YouTube channel at the DMW Podcast. 2, you can go to our website and sign up to our mailing list at the dmwpodcast.com. And 3, you can follow us on Instagram at the DMW Podcast. Thanks again for all of your support. My name is Stef, and this is the Dead Man Walking Podcast.